I see Tom. That means it's time for not the smartest guys in the room. Welcome, welcome all. Not the smartest guys in the room. We are here. What's going on, Tom?
Not too much, Tom. Just another Wednesday morning. How you doing, man?
Yeah, I'm feeling good, man. I'm amped and ready to go. I spent some time on Clubhouse this morning in a networking event earlier. I'm feeling good. My juices are flowing. I got my iced coffee here. Uh, let's see.
Coffee and air quotes.
Yeah. Oh, come on. It is good. I made my daughter one the other day, and even she didn't like it, which was really disappointing to me. She said that's too sugary.
Well, she's growing up. She's developing a more refined palate. She's in high school, right? Like, she's developing a more refined palate. She's not a kid anymore. Sweet doesn't always win. So maybe you should take a page out of your daughter's book.
And not drink as sweet of iced coffee. Hey, I have to tell you, the other day, and I see our friend Jim Aj stop by the other day. We went to Dunkin' Donuts, me and Maddie, and she ordered. I won't drive through the drive-through with her because she wants me to order like double pump, no sugar, no extra sugar, no ice, like all these mochiata strawberry with extra strawberry ice, and like it's so embarrassing. And so I just like drop her off at the door because I won't say all these weird things. So we went into Dunkin' Donuts, and and she orders like that, and I stand back and I order mine, and I asked the employee afterwards. I said, I got to ask you a question. I said, is it annoying when people come in here as a dad? Is it annoying when people come in here and order these triple pumps, no ice, And what was her answer, Tom?
Well, I think the correct answer from from a business perspective is no, of course not. But I wonder if she said, actually, yeah, it's kind of annoying.
She said, honestly, it's every order. She said, so it's not annoying because they expect that with every order, there's going to be some kind of special request or no ice or extra strawberry or extra pump of this and that. So you are allowed to order extra things and not feel guilty when you go to Dunkin' Donuts.
It's funny that like they're so conditioned to get these crazy like 14-step long orders from people that I actually have like the opposite experience. So I don't particularly like Dunkin' Donuts coffee personally. So you can shake your head. What are you like? What are you from Boston? Are you gonna get all upset because I don't like Dunkin'? Anyway, I don't particularly like their coffee, so I rarely go into Dunkin' Donuts. But every once in a while, I go into Dunkin' Donuts. And typically, when I order coffee, the way I drink coffee is just with a little bit of milk. That's it. Period. That's all I put in my coffee is a little bit of milk. And so I'll go into Dunkin' Donuts and I'll order a coffee. I'll get like a medium coffee, a little bit of whole milk. Or with whole milk is just how I'll order it, right? And then they're like, sugar? And I'm like, no sugar. They're like, vanilla? I'm like, no vanilla. Flavor? No flavor. Like pumps? No pumps. Like I just want coffee. Like so I have to answer like 6 questions to get a coffee with just milk in it. Because like I think and the software is designed like that they have to go through all of those steps because people order like that now. Yeah, so it's a funny thing. I guess like I don't know, Maddie would hate going to Dunkin' Donuts with me because like I won't even like not only would I not take her through the drive-through, I don't go through drive-throughs at all. I kind of like don't like drive-throughs. And I generally find because so many people go for drive-throughs, right? They're sitting in their cars. So many people, it's actually faster to get out of your car, go inside, get whatever you're ordering.
That's a hot take and very good point, Tom.
Right? So like I never go through drive-throughs. Like I always park, go inside, get what I'm getting from whatever store I'm at, right? That has a drive-through, and then I leave. So not only would she hate it because I would refuse to go through the drive-through to begin with, But then also I would do the same thing you did, and like you order, because I don't want to hear it if I miss one of the 14 steps in your ridiculous like coffee flavored drink order that you're getting. Like I don't even want to worry about it. You say what you want.
That's fair. Okay, Tom, now let's get into this.
Are we not here to talk about Dunkin' Donuts ordering?
No,
Like,
we
is
probably
that
make
we're not just
everybody.
ranting about drive-throughs for the next hour?
No, you can rant in Tom's thumbs later on, but no ranting for now. Okay, so I have it titled "Your Story Makes the Difference," but you brought up an interesting topic, like your narrative, the story you tell, the authentic story you tell. That's what makes the difference. That's what connects. That's what helps people understand. So you could have the world's best soda or the world's best vacuum cleaner, but if you can't tell a story that makes people understand that this vacuum cleaner picks up twice the stuff in half the time, and it doesn't relate, and people don't understand, or people aren't going to buy it, or it won't resonate. So tell us what you were thinking here, and let's get into it.
Yeah, that's right, Tom. I mean, I think ultimately what it comes down to, and the point I was really getting to, is the value of what you do is in the story that you tell, because of the impact that authentic narrative can have on your audience. So it's not in your product, it's not in your pitch deck, it's not in your advertising, it's not in your logo or your website or the flashy things that you put around, it's not in the baubles and the bling and the whatever that you have around your brand and your business and your product, right, or your services. It's in the story that you tell, because stories can move people, right? Products generally don't move people. I'd put money down that I would actually think anybody would have a hard time finding an example of a pitch deck that moved anyone, right? It's a rare thing that those things actually move somebody. What moves people is storytelling, because it gives the audience the opportunity to do a couple of things. One, to connect emotionally with the storyteller, right? To see themselves in the storyteller, to empathize with the storyteller, and to understand their perspective. But it also gives them the opportunity to emotionally connect with the story that you're telling. And that emotional connection, the ability to feel based on the story you're telling, is what sort of carries that value, because it creates impact, right? I mean, how many times in your life have you heard somebody talk about when they heard this story, that was the turning point for them when they started doing this, right? When I heard the story of so-and-so, that's when it was a turning point for me. When I heard the story about this thing happening, that was a pivotal moment in my life, right? I mean, if I had a nickel, literally a nickel, for every time I've heard something begin with that kind of phrasing, right, I would be retired. I mean, it's that ubiquitous. It is that common that we hear that kind of phrasing from people. When I heard this story, when I heard about this, that was a pivotal moment. It was a turning point. It changed the way I thought about things. It changed the way I see the world, et cetera, right? That's the power of story, right? It has the power to literally change the course of people's lives. And if you're dealing with something that has the power to change the course of someone's life, right, versus something that has the power to pick up dust off your floor, right, in the vacuum cleaner example you used earlier, right, which one is more valuable, right? Changing lives, changing the trajectory of someone's life, changing the way they see the world and interact with the world through story, is that more valuable, or is picking up dust bunnies more valuable, right? I think it's pretty clear that the story carries more value, the narrative carries more value. That's where the value is. It's not the product, it's not your pitch deck, it's not your logo or your website or any of the blingy, flashy things that you have going on around your brand or your business. It's in the story you tell, and that's where you should focus more of your energy and attention, because ultimately the story can make all the difference in success or failure for your brand or your business.
Tom, I well said, man. And you're making me feel it. You're making me think of ads and brands that I identify with, ones that I bought from in the past, where I'm like, misses. So, Mr. Swift, you are a great storyteller. Brian tells visual stories as well. Sometimes Brian, I see some of the pictures he shares of him kayaking or hunting or swimming, and I'm like, shit. Like, Brian, like that sometimes Brian, C5, C6 quadriplegic, Brian, you know this probably, that sometimes when you share a picture of you hunting or swimming, I'm like, it inspires us, just the picture alone, where people are saying, man, Brian can do this. I better get up off my ass and get out there. So, Brian, how do you use storytelling?
Well, the same way. I mean, we've obviously progressed from written word to, photos to video that also has the words on it, right? That, to appeal to a broader audience. So it's just been this progression of getting the message across, obviously getting it in front of the right audience with the right value, that you're trying to provide, is important. Sometimes it's, it's not so much about value. I guess you could call, I don't know what you'd call it, not so much value, but, a picture of me out doing something may not, the value I'm trying to provide is their belief that they could also do something. So, and I don't know if you call that value, but is them understanding that you don't have to let things stop you, that there is life, there is hope, there is possibilities, there is opportunity beyond what they might have thought. So for me, that's the purpose, I guess, and the value with some of the photos I'm trying to provide to people that, have maybe stopped dreaming, stopped living, stopped hoping, and maybe you're in that dark place. Just want to, sometimes it's about shock value. Sometimes it's just about opening possibilities. I think, I try to provide a variety of video, photos, and then just sometimes just a written message. Sometimes people just need to read something and really soak it in. Sometimes they need to see it. So I think that providing a variety of opportunity, showing different ways of providing that value is important. So I'm complete.
Brian, man. Well, we appreciate what you're doing. We see it. And even like Brian, Tom, we talked about authenticity earlier. Brian's as authentic as can be. And I even see videos of him and his mom out there. Like, his mom's in the early stages of Alzheimer's, and he's got her out in the garage exercising with them and things like that. So, Brian, we appreciate that, and you sharing your authenticity and your story. And it resonates with me, and I am sure I am not the only one. And I've seen Brian speak on stages where people were wiping their eyes. So keep up the good work. Okay, Tom, I think you had a question for Dr. Tachi, and let's she's next up on our list. Jim, Debbie's here. We got somebody else here. So got our people watching on LinkedIn. Tell us where we're at too, Tom. So go on.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Dom. So not the smartest guys in the room, as per usual. Dom and I started out talking about Dunkin' Donuts coffee. So not starting out on a high note of at the pinnacle of intellectual discourse, but we're trying to get back on track, talking about where the value lies. And my argument is that the value for your brand, your business lies in the story you tell, in the narrative that you tell, not in your product, not in your pitch deck, not in your logo or your website, but in the story that you tell, in the narrative that you convey to the audience. And as somebody who, deals in communications professionally, teaches communications at a high level, and also has a startup media business. I'm curious to hear what Dr. Tachi thinks about this idea, or my argument, my thought experiment that I'm positing, that that the true value of your brand or your business lies in the stories that you tell, and not so much in just the product or service, or the logo or website or the materials that you develop around it. So, Dr. Tachi, over to you. What do you think about that argument? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Where are you at on this thought?
Good morning, everyone. And Tom, now you know good and damn well I agree, right? Let's stop pretending here. You know I agree with everything you say, basically. So 100%. And even further than just the stories you tell, your ability to adequately articulate that story. How many times do we, and you probably have mentioned this, but all the products that we buy, because there is a story behind it, because we believe in the story, and they have done a great job of articulating, whether it is the founder's story, and that's why they founded the company, or the mission of the company, and that's why we buy into it. Because if you can't articulate your story well, even if it's a great one, nobody gets it. Or if you don't tell it, even if it's a great one, it doesn't matter. So I 100% agree. It's the story you tell and how well you tell that story.
Well, thanks, Dr. Tachi. I appreciate that. I kind of feel like maybe I was setting myself up there fishing for a compliment a little bit, but
we'll give it to you. It's all right. If I would have done that, you would have been like, it seems like this. I want to follow up with Dr. Tachi, if you don't mind.
Go for it.
Okay, Dr. Tachi, why do you think so many people struggle with to get out of their mouth what they do, to be clear and articulate? They can't articulate what it is they do or who they want to help, and they just babble and can't get to that point. Why is that?
It's a number of things. Number one, we have been taught to be, when it comes to business, we've been taught to be employees and not business owners. And so as an employee, you really never have to articulate per se what the company is about or what the mission is. You know it, but you don't have to rattle it off, because that's not what's expected of you. And so most people come from the world of being an employee at some point, and it's very difficult to articulate what you've done because it's not something that's taught to you. Entrepreneurship, even when you're in a business program, they're teaching you to work for other high-level businesses, not necessarily to start your own. So, let's clear that up. So that's one thing. Number two, it's this, I'll say it, the organized religion and the way that you have been taught to be humble, because bragging on yourself is seen as sinful and looked down upon. And so you don't know how to articulate who you are or what you are, because organized religion tells you, no, you don't tell people what you are. You don't boast, don't brag. It is sinful. And so you don't know how to straddle that line between braggadocio and saying what it is you do. Those are just two of my thoughts.
Go ahead, Brian. Did you have something you wanted to add?
No, I absolutely totally agree with Dr. Tachi. I think the second one, for some of us, I still struggle with it, because call it whatever you want. She's right. We're just not wired and conditioned to really talk about ourselves. And I think there's a third one, and I think we're going to see it more and more. People are not authentic. They have not lived and done enough. They have not, I guess, lived the trials and tribulations, or maybe they don't feel they've earned the right to be doing what they say they're doing. I'll just take coaching. I think there's a lot of people. I mean, everybody now is a coach. Every Tom, Dick, and Harry, and Mary, and Martha is a coach. I don't know if some of them have gone through the experiences where they feel confident enough to have earned that moniker of being a coach. Just because you read a book or you read numerous books, you took an online class, does not make you what you may claim that you are. I think living through experience you cannot make up for. And I think nowadays, if you are lacking experience, you have not lived through some of what you are trying to claim you are a specialist at. I think people struggle with explaining what they do because they really haven't lived it. It's not in their heart. It's not in their soul. They don't have that learned experience. And I think we're seeing that. And I think with AI now and people being able to be less authentic, we're going to see more of that. I think we're going to see more people struggle with that as they claim to be something because of the fact they read it. They just don't have the lived experience of doing it. And I think that would be a third reason why some people struggle. I'm complete.
Thanks, Brian. Yeah, I mean, I think, one of the things that I see going on, particularly sort of with coaching, right? And I am 100% not a coach. I say all the time to people, I'm not a coach. I don't want to be a coach. That's not what I do. But one of the things that I see going on with coaching right now, or the coaching industry kind of writ large, is a bit of a conflation over what coaching is, between what coaching actually is, what it should be, and what I think of it as, and I think what a lot of people think of it as, versus kind of the selling of systems, right? Which is what a lot of people sort of put under the umbrella of coaching, right? And so I'll make that example a little bit more clear. Like, everybody here has seen hundreds of posts on social media where somebody says, "Hey, I'm Coach so-and-so, and come to my program or buy into my program, and I'll teach you how to grow or scale your business to 7 figures exactly the way I scaled my business to 7 figures," right? I did this, and now I'm going to teach you how to do exactly what I did, right? Like, and they call that coaching, but that's not coaching, right? That's instruction, right? Coaching is about helping people realize their full potential and their full capacity for achievement, right? Like, doing something doesn't make you good at teaching it, right? The ability to do something doesn't mean you're good at teaching it. And the ability to do something doesn't also mean that you're good at coaching someone else to do the same thing. They are different skill sets. And I think there's a lot of conflation going on between those skill sets right now. And I just, to go to a sports example that I'm sure, Dom will appreciate, right? Like, who's the, I mean, there's some debate about this now, I guess, but like, from my childhood, who's the GOAT when it comes to basketball, right? Michael Jordan, right? No, unquestionably, Michael Jordan was the GOAT. Now there's some debate about maybe Kobe, maybe LeBron, whatever. But like, I still think of Michael Jordan as like the GOAT, right? He's the greatest of all time. He was an incredibly high achieving athlete, right, on the basketball court. What did Michael Jordan after he retired from basketball? Did he start coaching? Right? No, he didn't start coaching. Why? Because he's not a coach. He's a player, right? In the same way that a lot of these people that are selling coaching programs are not coaches, they're business people, right? They're salespeople. What they're doing is selling. They're just doing the same thing that they've always done, right? The way they scaled their business was through a sales program, right? So what are they doing? Now they're selling you the sales program, right? They're not coaching you. So there's a lot of conflation about what coaching actually is. I don't think you have to have, like, Michael Jordan's coach wasn't a better player than Michael Jordan, but he was still able to coach him, right? Like, I don't think you have to have achieved at the highest level in a particular field to be a really good coach in that field. I think you have to be a good coach to be a good coach in that field, right? You have to have knowledge of that field, but I don't think you have to be the best at something to coach somebody else in it, right? Those are two different things, two different skill sets.
Tom, I'll just double up on that in agreement with you is like for your sports analogy, like some people could just jump higher or be stronger, and that's why they also a reason why they were so good, because they had attributes that made them superior. Same in a sales world or a speaking world or whatever else. Well, this person's super charismatic, they're good on stage, their voice is excellent, they look the part, all these things that made them successful, as well as their story, doesn't mean that they can just teach somebody else to do those same things. So in whatever, well, maybe they were in the right place at the right time with the right message, met the right people, and it helped get them to where they were. So double back on that, Tom, and then we'll go to Brian. The other thought.
Yeah, I mean, I think and to your point there as well, like I just go along. I think the coach, the Bulls coach in the 90s was Knight, right? Am I getting that right? Was that his name?
Phil Jackson, and he was struggled as a player.
Yeah,
but
there you
won
go.
9 championships, I think.
Phil Jackson struggled as a player, but then 9 championships as a coach, right? And like, not for nothing, as good as Michael Jordan was on the court, like he did not single-handedly carry that team to 9 championships. No player could possibly do that. They did that as a team, both because they had the talent that they had on the court, but they also had the coach getting them to perform at the highest level together as a team, right? Like that's coaching, is taking talent and getting people to express their talent and work hard at developing their talent so that they can perform at the highest level. Like that's coaching. Selling you a sales program that I developed to scale my business is not coaching. That's sales, right? And I think I think those two things get conflated a lot. Brian, what did you want to add?
Tom, love your description of what's happening in the coaching industry. You're absolutely 100% correct. Absolutely, it's a perfect way of stating it. Dom, I agree with you. And actually, I'll take it even further. Your best players usually I'll state it this. I'll say they don't make good coaches, and the reason is they are so great at what they do, they really don't know how to explain how they do things and what they do to other players. It's difficult for them to teach it. And a lot of times it's because of what they've done is so innate. Like you can't teach a player to want to get up at 5 o'clock to get an extra hour of practice in. You can't teach somebody how to stay after practice and work with your center, a quarterback work with your center, snapping the ball so that when the weather's bad, we're doing it, they're doing it with a wet ball so they can, handle the ball better in conditions. A lot of what makes them better, some is genetics, but it is that will, and you can't teach that. You think about some of the great players that tried to be coaches and just didn't succeed at it. I mean, Larry Bird failed. I can't remember. I don't remember if Magic tried coaching, but you look at some of your great players, they just didn't succeed at the coaching level because they didn't have that ability to understand the team concept, to understand some of the innateness of what made them great. And you're right, Tom, that Michael, the one thing that I think gives him that GOAT status over, and there is a lot, whether that be LeBron, is that he made the players around him better. I don't think, and I don't want to get into a debate about it, but I think Kobe did something similar, but I don't think LeBron makes the people around him better. Michael wanted to make every player around him be as good as him or better. That's something to drive, and that's something you can't drive into people, that ability to make people better than they are. And I think that's what made that team so great, is that he let every player be better than they could be and help them get to that point. But love your explanation. Thank you.
All right, good stuff, Swift. We could talk basketball all day long. I should open up a whole nother clubhouse. I could talk basketball for a year, but today we're talking about storytelling. Debbie, Fabian, Sonia, we're talking about storytelling today. Your authentic story, how that story matters, how that story, not some BS story, not some calculated story, not some shiny lights in, you created, a logo that flashes and that's what people are going to buy. No, they're buying the authentic story, the one that says to them, man, like, how'd you phrase that earlier, Tom? Like that moment where it makes you like, you heard it and you're like, now I need to make a change.
Yeah, that turning point, right? Yeah. Or the, where, when I heard that story, that's when I fill in the blank, right? Like, yeah, that's
good. Yeah, that's good. I want to incorporate that into like a brand, into a message, like selling turning points, that aha moment, the moment where, okay, your story matters, makes a difference. Debbie, Fabian, Sonia, we're coming, but it is the top of the hour, right around the top of the hour. So that's where we do Tom's Thumbs. I bring up something from pop culture. I get heat on these, man. Some people say they don't like this subject or that subject. Hey, man, I look around. I want to know I want to get Tom's thoughts on something. So Tom, today, this is really in the news. What do you think about the fall of P. Diddy, Sean Combs? What is your thoughts on that?
I mean, so the fall of P. Diddy gets a huge thumbs up from me, right? I want to be very clear about the language. I am giving his downfall a thumbs up. Very clear. Do not misconstrue that. P. Diddy's downfall gets a thumbs up. And it gets a thumbs up because I think, it is very easy for people to, especially people that have created a large impact, right? Cultural impact, as he inarguably has, right? People who've created the kind of cultural impact that Sean Combs has created over the course of his career in the music industry and other industries around it, right? Often people sort of sweep under the rug or forget or forgive too easily the awful things that sometimes those people do, or some people like him have done, because they've had this sort of outsized cultural impact that's broadly seen as positive, right? And so I think in his case, I think it's good. Harvey Weinstein is kind of a good example of this, right? Like Harvey Weinstein got a pass by a lot of people for a very long time, even though it was very well known in the film industry, right, that he was a terrible human being that was mistreating and abusing people, right? He was an awful person who did awful things to people, right? Who abused his position of power and influence, and abused other people, right? Because he had this outsized, broadly seen as positive cultural impact because of the films that he produced and he brought to the screen, he got a pass, right, by a lot of people for a long time. I'm just looking. Dr. Tachi just threw some examples in the chat, some great examples, right? Woody Allen, right? Roman Polanski, right? Other examples of people who've had outsized cultural impact that's broadly seen as positive, that have been given a pass on their awful things that they've done, on the horrific, terrible, horrible things that they've done to people, because it was kind of like, well, yeah, but on the other hand, they did something nice, or they did this cool thing, or they made this fun song, right? Like, or they made this good movie that entertained me, right? And so they got a pass. And I think it's time we stop giving people passes for things like this, right? Like the things that Sean Combs is accused of doing, right? And I say accused because he's not convicted, right? The evidence seems overwhelming, but The things that he's accused of doing are absolutely horrific. Horrific. He rightly is facing a lifetime prison sentence as a result of the terrible things he's done, of the criminal activities he's engaged in. He's accused of racketeering and sexual trafficking. He's been sued civilly for abuse, for physical and sexual abuse by several people. Bill Cosby and R. Kelly are also people, as you rightly pointed out, Dom, that have gotten passes. Michael Jackson got a pass on stuff like this, allegedly, right? But we've for too long we've given sort of cultural icons passes for nefarious and terrible deeds done in their personal lives or sort of out of the spotlight. And I think we should stop. Culturally, societally, we should stop. Nobody deserves a pass for the kinds of things that Sean Combs is accused of doing. Nobody should get that kind of pass. Nobody should do those things. And everyone who engages in that kind of behavior should be held accountable to the fullest extent of the law, period, end of story. So for all of those reasons, the downfall of Sean P. Diddy Combs gets a giant 2 thumbs up from me.
Well done, Tom. I think you articulately described what I think a lot of people have been thinking. So good job. I hope topic for Tom's thumbs is an approved. I got heat over eggs. I got heat over some other things over the days, but I think you handled the downfall of P. Diddy very well. Okay, so this is not the smartest guys in the room. Now we are going to get back to authentic storytelling, Tom. We're going to get back to how that authentic story makes a difference. Debbie Griffiths, we're coming to you, then Fabian, then Sonia. So Debbie, do you want to break into how you use your story and how you see that making an impact? And or Debbie, do you feel the need to try to duplicate what other people are doing? How do you, I'm going to try to be direct here. How do you make sure that you're telling your story and not falling for a trend or falling into chasing what other people are doing?
Well, good morning, everyone. Thanks for having me on stage. First of all, I kind of want to go back to what Brian and Dr. Tachi said. I totally agree with some of the imposter syndrome and probably a lot of people in coaching business, and especially what Brian said about people want to be coaches or say they're coaches, but maybe not have really experienced some of the items that they say they've experienced. And if you don't, if you haven't experienced these things, you can't come off as authentic. You have no idea how it feels to be, gaslighted, or to have gone through like major health issues or like car accidents, and to know how to get back on track and be rehabilitated, and the pain, mental and emotional, that you go through. So it's hard to communicate that and help others with the empathy that is needed to help others get from step 1 to step 2, and just be authentic. I'm trying to help others who are going through transitions, whether especially coming out of bad divorces, how to rebuild their life. Because I know when I left my marriage, I had no idea. um, I was a stay-at-home mom, so I had not been in the workforce for almost 20 years, and things had changed. So, I mean, including the advent of the computer and the internet. So you have to learn these things, and sometimes you have to have someone help you and guide you to make these right steps. But you you need someone that has already done it and walked those shoes prior in order for really to be successful. So I'll land my plane.
Thanks, Debbie. Appreciate that. Thanks for circling back on that topic. Fabian, we're going to come to you next. So here's the question. Essentially, we started out today. I posited this argument that the real value behind a business or a brand is in the story that you tell, the narrative that you convey. It's not in the product on its own. It's not in, your pitch deck or your sales materials or your website or your logo. It's really in the story that you tell. That's the true value behind any business or brand. So the question to you, Fabian, is agree, disagree, and why or why not?
It's a great question. Great room, Tom. Thank you so much. First of all, as a Larry Bird fan, I just want to clear up something in the room here, gentlemen. Larry Bird took the Pacers to the NBA Finals. He had a 687 winning percentage, so he did not fail as a coach. He's one of the few elite players actually that did very well. So anyway, I would say that what if you don't have a captivating story, right? So and while I fully recognize the value of sharing your story, I think your vulnerability, your authenticity plays maybe an equal part in how we connect emotionally with our clients or potential clients.
Fabian, can I ask you just on that? Isn't that vulnerability captivating?
What's that?
Isn't the vulnerability captivating?
Okay, but what if, okay, it depends what we look at as captivating. Now that's an interesting point, Dominique, and I've never thought of that before. But I'm thinking of kind of this rags to riches, overcome odds, typical captivating story. But what if you've had a pretty quote unquote normal life and you don't have those kind of stories? Where do you go in terms of telling your story? And I'd like the feedback from you, Dominique. Thank you.
Okay, so one, I don't know, are we talking about a product or are we talking about you're writing a book or something like that? Because the product makes a difference or the story that you're telling makes a difference. So what would your answer to that be?
Okay, it would be a product then. Product.
I figure out how that product changes lives. How does this make life easier? How does it give Debbie more time to spend with her grandchildren? How does it give me more time to spend with my lovely wife? How does it make things easier? How does it allow me to put more money in my kids' 529 plan because it saves me money? How does it allow me to remember my parents easier? How does it inspire me to lose weight and live my best life? How does it make my knees hurt less so I can walk with my grandkids later? So I think figuring out ways that your story, your product can connect with the needs and the pain and the vulnerabilities of other people. So that would be my quick answer on that. I'll go Tom and then go on.
Yeah, well, and I was just going to say too, I think, Dom, like to Fabian's point, Fabian initially was talking about, vulnerability and authenticity, right? Being sort of really how you connect with people. And my argument would be, okay, how do you convey those things, right? How do you convey vulnerability? How do you convey authenticity? Through storytelling, right? Like you tell stories that draw out in a clear vision or in a clear way to your audience, your vulnerability, right? Or your authenticity. And so I would argue that storytelling, again, it comes back to storytelling, comes back to the story you tell and the narrative that you spin. That's how you convey vulnerability. That's how you convey your authenticity to your audience so that they can connect, they can move you, right? Or you can move them, I should say, and, ultimately move your product, right? And in terms of a product, like tell the stories of how that product, like Dom was saying, tell the stories of how that product makes people's lives better. That's how you do it, right? Like that's how you move the needle with storytelling for a product-based business, right? Is you tell the stories of how that product makes people's lives better so that the audience can see themselves in those stories.
Okay, and one question to you, Tom, just 1 second. How prominent do you make that story, for example, on your landing page, on your website, on your IG page? obviously somebody where they're looking for products, does that set us apart immediately from people just kind of flipping pages and looking for the best potential fit for them? Thank you.
I mean, look, for me, I always say you start with story, follow with facts, right? So I think you start with story and then you follow with details and more information, but you hook them with the story. You hook your audience with the story, not with information. You have to give them a reason to care first. You do that through storytelling. And then once they care, then they're going to be open to and interested in learning more about the product. So I say lead with story.
Good stuff. Hey, great ads, Fabian. And we're going to get to somebody here, my friend Sonia, who does lead with authenticity and vulnerability. So Sonia, if you could, would you tell us how sharing your vulnerability, sharing dropped in a maze? Sonia is speaking around the globe right now. I think she's saying the Wall Street Journal might be doing an article on her. So Sonia, how do you use vulnerability? Do you share your vulnerability, and how have people responded?
So I use my vulnerability in the story to just share with my true purpose of, because here's the thing, I've always believed in, I wanted to give back. And I've had this fire in me since 2005, right? After I went to that book fair in Chicago with my parents. And I always wanted to give back because when I heard other people share their stories at that book fair who've overcome atrocities, war, trauma, really like abuse, I felt like, you know what, if they're sharing their story, there's no reason why I shouldn't share my story and share what I've been through. And I practice what I story tell, I use in my life as in general, like with my podcasting on the spectrum with Sonia, with my therapy, being a therapist. I want to make sure that when I give therapy to clients, I'm just, I'm as patient as I wish a therapist would have been with me. I'm just as kind as I wish a therapist could have been with me. I try to practice and give in ways to people what I never got growing up, because I don't want people to feel pain. I don't want people to feel bullied, especially by those who are supposed to be taking care of them. Right. And when you don't have that security growing up, it's very hard, and I don't want people to live, I want to leave the world a better place, because, at the end of the day, we all have an expiration date. Right. And I want to leave this world knowing, you know what, at least I put out some good.
Sonia, and you are, thank you. And the vulnerability does resonate with people. And I like how you phrased, what if, Fabian, like Sonia's saying, what if you could give them something you didn't have along the way? Great message right there. Okay. So what do we got? Okay. We still got a show and tell coming. We got a wrap up coming. Jason, your story makes a difference. How has authentic storytelling, how has being Jason helped the brand or business, not following what somebody else is doing, being absolutely Jason?
Being exactly me has helped. Really, first, it's helping me be me. I think the first thing when people want to work something out or get better is like really understanding what you really need to work out for yourself. So by me being authentic to myself first, I'm not worried about the illusion or perceptions about other people. I look at this as a contribution. This is something that someone can relate to, whether it's a guy trying to find meaningfulness in his life, or how do you navigate being a single dad? How do you I was just on TikTok live just a little while ago, and I was talking about, it's called Man Up Mornings. And I was like, it's not about the tough guy. It's about, the guy that's dealing with silent suffering and does not know where to seek help and how to get help. And how do you clean up your mess? And I remember a few comments in the live that there were people just popped out of nowhere, and they just said, you make so much sense to me. I never knew where to start. By at least when I said that my prescription, I was like, look, start being kind to yourself to take off the pressure. If you want to get better, you got to take off the weights. People wear too many leg weights. They wear too many shoulder pads. They got too much protective equipment. But in reality, they're feeling restricted. And when you make an authentic story relate, like, hey, let's just take it easy, okay? We're not in training. We're not on Navy SEAL trying to go trying to perpetrate a mission or any of that. We're just being men, okay? We're elevating ourselves. And when I focus on that, my public cues in on me, and I have people who like what I say. Sometimes it's straight from the hip and no BS, and sometimes it's just like a slow, gradual process. But being authentic with that and myself is the most important effect, because I'm not interested in followers. I'm interested in people getting resources to do for themselves. And that authenticity and caring like that sets me apart from every other wannabe man guru or whatever out there. I don't have to sort out for everybody, but I can definitely lead a path through the jungle. So that's what I'll say.
Cool. Thanks, Jason. Thanks for sharing that. Appreciate it. Definitely appreciate you sharing how what you've found to be successful personally in conveying that story and building community and finding success in sharing who you are and being authentically you. So thanks for that. Appreciate it. So real quick, we got two things to do real fast. We got show and tell from Dom, and then we got a wrap up, and we've got 7 minutes and change to get it all done. So here we go. Let's go to Dom for his show and tell. What do you got to show us and tell us about this week?
Okay, I am proud of my show and tell today because it is from the most exclusive community. Sometimes you may or may not know, I've said it in here before, that one, I got cut from the basketball team in 7th grade. Broke my heart. I loved Michael Jordan. I got cut from the team. I wasn't good enough. And a lot of times when you get cut from a team, you choose, when you lose at anything, you choose either I'm going to give up, I'm done, move on to something else, or you commit. So I decided at that point, I would never get cut again, and I would take it as far as I could. So after, playing through high school and things like that, I ended up playing with my minimal skill at a Division III college. I was the point guard, started a lot of games, played for 2 years, had a lot of injuries and a lot of chipped teeth as well. But one thing that I got from that college that I am proud that I have today, it is my alumni player admission pass. So it says University of Pittsburgh at Greensburg men's basketball alumni player admission. It is good for me and one guest. So for every game, I can take one guest in. So I say that this community, I love the game. Gave my heart and soul to play in a lot of years. I'm proud of it. But so there, that little piece of paper, this community, there's only about 200 people that have ever played there because they had a team in the 60s and then a team back again. It started in the 2000s till today. So I'm one of that little community. And the only reason why, and for everybody here, the only reason why is because I didn't give up. So do whatever you're doing out there, just don't give up and you can get to where you want to go. That's what I got, Tom. I'm alumni pass.
Nice. Jim hopped into the chat there and tossed you under the bus, said you made him pay when you took him to a game.
Yeah, I mean, because I'm trying to support the team. He's doing all those sales. He can pay a few times. Come on, Jim.
You and Michael Jordan both got cut from your middle school teams. Was it both 7th grade? Was that when Michael Jordan
I think he got cut from his 9th grade team, but I think he was
okay.
I think he tried out for his varsity team at the time. So I think he still had some skill, but he did get cut from the varsity. And that story that Michael Jordan, it did inspire as well. Seeing somebody else out there, like our friend earlier today was here's a guy. We knew Michael Jordan got cut from the team. He shared that vulnerability with the world, shared that story. And he didn't share, it wasn't when he scored the 30,000 points. It was when he got cut from the team that connected with so many people, not the high, it was the low. So share that story. Go on, Tom. Tom, at this point, okay, we had to push. We try to keep on a tight timeline. So if we didn't get you up here, we'll get you up here next week. We apologize. Come back 9:30 next week. We're here every week. We do a show and tell for the people that stream, so they have to tune in and see the streaming and the video. Tom's thumbs today was P. Diddy. We talked about authentic storytelling, and now Tom, it is time for your wrap up.
Sounds good to me, Dom. So yeah, so thanks for everybody for being here. Appreciate you guys. Appreciate you all being a part of the conversation and a part of the room. Adding to this show that we do every week, not the smartest guys in the room. So thank you again for being here. Really appreciate you guys. Sorry we didn't get to everybody this week, but we always do our best. Sometimes it doesn't work out. That's the way the cookie crumbles, I guess. Next time, get here a little bit earlier, right? We're here at 9:30 a.m. every Wednesday for Not the Smartest Guys. So we're on for an hour. We try to get everybody out of here on time, try to be respectful of your time for the folks that join us every week. So, if you want to get up on stage, get here right around 9:30. We'll get you up. We'll give you a chance to talk, and we'll go from there. But to just wrap things up today, I just want to reiterate that when it comes down to growing or building a brand, growing or building a business, the best way to do that is to grow and build a community around your brand, to grow and build a community or an audience around your business. And the easiest way to do that, the path of least resistance, is through storytelling. Right now, my preference is through video, right? Because that's my field. That's what I do. Dom's preference is through the written word, right? As a publisher and somebody who helps people bring their books into the world, right? That's his preferred method. Other people are going to have their preferred methodologies. That's great. But at the end of the day, storytelling is what moves the needle. It's what gives people the opportunity to engage emotionally, and our emotional responses to things at the end of the day are what drive our decision making. So whether you're trying to grow a movement, you're trying to better the lives of people through a nonprofit, you're trying to sell a product that you've created, you're trying to sell your services to people to help make their businesses or their lives better, whatever the case may be. If you want to develop real connection with people, if you want to build real connections that will support and foster the growth of your business, storytelling is the way to do it. The real value behind your brand, behind your business, lies in the story that you tell and the narrative that you bring into the world. It's not all about your product. It's not all about your website or your logo or the flash that surrounds those things. The real value is in the story that you tell. So get out there and tell your authentic, vulnerable story. Share it with the world. Give people the opportunity to get to know you and connect with you. And I promise you, you will see the benefits, both short-term and long-term, right? In those relationships that you build through storytelling. So that's all I got for this week. We appreciate you guys for being here once again. Like I said before, every Wednesday, 9:30 a.m. Eastern time, we are here, Not the Smartest Guys in the Room, both on Clubhouse and streaming live all over the internet. You can catch us live. You can catch the replays. You can find it on YouTube. You can find it on Facebook. You can find it on LinkedIn. Even find us on Twitch, although we're not very big on Twitch. We're no Hassan Piker or anything over there. But anyway, check us out wherever you want to. Check out the video if you want to see the show and tell. Dom's holding up his little admission pass right now. And if you want to hear what I rant about next week on Tom's Thumbs, make sure you come back and see us then. Until then, have a great rest of your week, a great weekend. We love you guys. We appreciate you guys, and we will see you soon. Bye-bye.